Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome to my craft room. Today is November 11th, 2024, Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all of those veterans who have served or who are currently serving. We thank you for your service. My name is Tina Bickford. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I love to share my passion for card making with you. So I'm making a card today using the Happy Hibiscus stamp set and hybrid embossing folder and die. Super fun. Let's just dive right in. Let me switch to the desk cam and I will show you our products. Okay, so this is the Happy Hibiscus stamp set. So super cool. Has the congratulations, thanks for being so kind. You make me smile, and then all of these flowers and leaves. So we're going to be using some of those. There is an embossing folder. This is a 3D embossing folder. This is, love it. This is one of my all-time favorites ever, ever, ever. Love it. All right, and let me just put that in there again to see. Just make sure that there's no reflection from my ring light on there so that you can see that. Okay, and then for the dies, super fun. We have this big die, which actually cuts, it works in conjunction with, you can use it separate from, but it works in conjunction with the embossing folder, which is what we're going to do today. So I'll show you that. Super fun, cool. We have a couple of what I'm calling plumeria. These little flowers here look like plumeria to me. We've got a couple of leaves. This and this one here, these two die cuts, these will actually cut your stamped leaves from the set. And you've got a couple of sentiment label dies. Super fun. All right. So we're going to be using that, and we're going to be using one of my absolute favorite colors. I am obsessed with this color, Blackberry Bliss. So I'm going to be using Blackberry Bliss and the thick vanilla cardstock. We are going to be using, and I'm going to decide on these, but we're going to be using the white craft ink and Blackberry Bliss and or Moody Mauve. And we are also going to be using some iridescent pearls. These are really cute, very fun, beautiful. And we'll be using some Stampin' Dimensionals and some sponges and some other fun stuff. So let's just get started. So I'm going to make my card base the thick vanilla. So I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer here. So my paper trimmer, I'm sorry, I apologize for that ring light. Let me see if I can just cover that there. So the paper trimmer has two blades. There is a light and a dark blade. The dark blade is your cutting blade and the light one is your scoring blade. The arm opens up to just over 17 inches, so you can put, larger cardstock in there. This is just over 12 inches, like 12 and a half inches, the space from here to here. Okay, so I am going to put my vanilla in. So I don't need to extend the arm for this, but I will just show you how really simple that is. All of the markings are up here. The channel or the edge that the paper rides along continues right along. So your paper won't go up and over. Very cool, very nice. Love the design. So I'm going to line my paper up Well, on the 11.5-inch side, I'm going to line it up halfway at the 5.5-inch mark. And I'm going to just cut that. And then I'm going to move my cutting blade out of the way, rotate it to the 8.5-inch side, and I'm going to score that at 4.25 inches. It's thick, so I'm just going to go over it a second time. Okay, and we'll set that aside. For our layering piece, I want a really narrow border around my the front of my card. So I want most of the focus to be on the color of the card and not the card base itself. So my card base is 5.5. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to come in here and just cut down to 5 3/8. And then this way, my card base is 4.25, so I'm just going to come in here and cut to 4 1/8. Perfect. And then we're gonna keep this piece because we're going to be doing some die cutting from it. It doesn't have to be any specific size, but we're also going to be doing some die cutting from this. So I'm just going to cut this down. I'm actually going to cut it down to just the 4.25 mark. It'll be easy to work with. And then move that out of the way. All right. So our card base, I'm just going to set the card base aside because we're going to layer on all of that, but not yet. So we're going to go to our 4. I want to check. This is the 4 1/8. Okay. So this is going to be the layer that we emboss. So let me just, I wish I had a bigger desk, but I'm going to work with what we have. So I'll just try to keep what I can in the camera. I want you to see. So this is the Stampin' Up! Cut and Emboss machine. When you're doing embossing with a 3D embossing folder, which is what we're doing, you just need your number 1 plate and your number 4 plate. So I'm going to get my embossing folder here, and I'm going to place this in my, I'm going to place my paper in here, but I'm going to, let me just move that out of the way for a minute. I'm going to try to figure out what I want in that embossed panel in the back. You do want to make sure that you don't jam your paper right up into the fold because that will create too much bulk when it goes through the machine. So I'm just going to let me bring that machine back in. All right. And I do recommend with these folders that you go in folded edge first. It allows for all of the pressure to come towards the open end of the embossing folder instead of the other way and ruining the fold of your embossing folder. All right, so I'm just going to do that. Roll this through. Pop at the end. You just move that to the side for now. We're going to be using that again. Now we have, look at that. Oh my God, beautiful piece of cardstock. Amazing. All right, so I'm just going to set that aside because we're going to be using, or put that together towards the end. So now we're going to pull this very vanilla out. And there are a couple of things that you can do. So let me just show you my sample card. My sample card is in Pretty Peacock. So the Pretty Peacock, what I did was I just embossed and die cut the flowers out of the white, and then I did some sponging. I think for this one, we're going to try doing some stamping as well. So we're going to come in here, grab our photopolymer stamps. which all need to be cleaned. They're not, look at them, they're all sticking. This is my very favorite stamp set. So put these back where they belong so that we know what we have. Okay. Let's do, all right. I am going to grab that one right there. Okay. And I'm just going to stamp, and I think I'm going to stamp this in the BLACKBERRY BLISS. Now, if you're doing the two-step stamping with this set, you do want to make sure that you have that you do use the darker color for your line work and then a lighter color for your fill-in stamps. Now that is very inky, and you can see I got, because my BLACKBERRY BLISS ink pad is very inky. You can see I got some ink down in here and in here. Not to worry, because I'm not going to press hard enough to, I'm not going to rock my stamp. I'm just going to press and nice firm, just like that. Hold it just for a second. And you'll notice I'm not straight on my paper. I don't need to be. So that's what the image that I'm getting. And you'll see I didn't get any of that extra ink on that paper. When you're stamping, especially with the photopolymer, you can see, so you can see the areas of the stamp where I got ink on the stamp, but it didn't come off the stamp onto the paper, so it remains there. So you want to make sure that you just nice, even, steady pressure straight down, hold it, don't rock it, and then just lift it straight up. Okay. Now, I'm not going to use my fill-in stamps for this. I'm going to do a little bit of blending with my my little finger daubers. Okay. So the next step, I'm going to put this in the embossing folder with the die that cuts that out. So what you're going to do here, this can be a little bit tricky. So the side of your embossing folder that has the Stampin' Up! Emblem, that is where this, with all of your hybrid embossing folders, that is where the die is going to fit. Now, this doesn't snap in to place, but you can actually feel it and hear it when it gets to that place, and it won't move. It doesn't move. Once it snaps in there, it won't. It will move if you lift it, but if you're holding pressure on it, it stays in place. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to position. I'm going to have to cut a little bit. Hold, please. Because of the way that I stamped that, I'm going to have to cut a little bit off that edge so that it will fit properly in there. So I'm just making that fit right into that embossing folder, and then I'm just going to take my paper, my cardstock, and I'm going to line it up. Line it up like so. I am just going to trim this right here because it won't fit into the embossing machine that way. So I just want to make sure all of my paper is tucked inside. Just making sure that that is good. I'm going to squeeze it, and I'm going to bring my, I'm going to move some stuff out of the way so I can bring my embossing machine back in so you can see me do this. And we're going back to our plate 1, and we need our plate 4. So I want to make sure that this doesn't shift on me. So I like cutting down, but I'm going to cut up for this because my cutting blade is not going to be affected at all with the, for plates 1 and 2 because it's inside of the embossing folder. So I'm not going to damage my plates, and I'm just going to go ahead and roll that through. And the same thing, I put the folded edge in first. It rolls a little bit harder because it has that extra layer in there with the die. Just bring this back, open this up, and then what you have are these, and I know you can't see this on camera, but oh, there. See the embossing detail in that flower? Beautiful. And they're all like that. Okay. So let's set this aside. And I'm going to grab my Moody Mauve. And I'm going to grab a sponge dauber for my Moody Mauve. And I'm just going to come in for each of these, and I'm going to do some sponging. So I'm just going to load that up a little bit. I am going to take some off because I want it to be fairly light. I'm just going to take a bunch of that off. So start with the big flower, and I want to do just the edges here. The edges of that flower. Just a little bit of rubbing so it will look white on the inside, and then the edges of the petals will look pink. Just like so. So we have that. Do the same thing here. Now with this flower here, it looks like, so the middle of these little sections in here, those are supposed to look like the petal that's curling up. So because that's still considered the middle of the flower, I'm going to make sure that I'm not getting any ink on that. I'm just going to come in just like that, little rub. And just a little more on this little guy, and I'm not going to ink this up. I'm just going to put a nice light layer there on this little guy, this little baby. Okay, let's just put those away. All right, so the next thing that I want to do a little more die cutting. So we're going to just put these things here. Let's just set these aside right now. And I want to die cut some of those leaves. So let's just come back and get these dies. I want to cut some leaves, and I want to cut some plumeria. So this is the leaf that's actually closest to what an actual hibiscus plant looks like. And ask me how I know. I have one in my living room right now. And then we're going to cut some of these. We're going to die cut some of these flowers, these plumeria. Let's just grab those. And I think let's do the sentiment tag also, because we're going to do these in the thick vanilla. All right, all of these are going to be done in thick vanilla. So when you're doing die cutting, I'm not doing those in vanilla. I'm doing the tag in vanilla, but I'm doing the others in the BLACKBERRY BLISS. So when you're die cutting, you are going to use your plate 1, your plate 2, and then 2 of your number 3 cutting plates. So I'm just going to do this. All right, so let me make this piece a little bit smaller. I'm just going to, all I want this to be big enough for is that tag. So we'll just do that. Turn that right over there. And then for this one, I'm just going to put this down. I'm going to cut, we're going to have to cut, we've only got 1 leaf die. I want 4 leaves, but I can do a bunch of flowers because we have 2 big flowers and 2 little flowers. So we'll just load those up. Move that over to my die cutting machine. I'm just going to do this off camera real quick. Okay, so we have our, oh, look at what I did. I did it backwards. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. See? I'm gonna put all of those flowers aside. And I think I'm going to do 2 more big flowers. Do 2 more big ones. And put that in there. Like so. And let's cut this right this time, Tina. Oh, Lord. Okay, there. Let's move those to the side so we don't lose them. Put this up on my die cutting machine. Roll that through. Now we have our sentiment tag and our flowers. Let's get all of this off the machine. All right. Get those to the side. All right. Let's stamp a sentiment on here. Let's see. What do we want? How about this? Well, it's the only one in this set that will actually fit on that tag is the thanks for being so kind. So that's the one that we will use. There. Grab a block. And this one I am going to stamp in the Blackberry Bliss. Nice gentle tap, especially if your ink pad is really juicy, and that will help keep it so that you're not getting ink all over the place. And we'll just come straight down onto the tag. Nice even pressure, not rocking it, and lift it straight up. And that's what we get there. Okay. Close this up. All right. So let's bring some of this back in. What I wanted to do with, oh, you know what? I guess I'm not done. I wanted more leaves. All right. I need to cut some more leaves. So I'm just going to do those really quick. Not sure what I was thinking. Sorry about all of the wiggling. If you see all of the wiggling on the desk. 1. So I'm going to do 4 leaves total. 1, 2, 3. One more leaf. We are almost there. Okay, last one there. Set that die aside. Let's do that. All right. So on the leaves and the flowers, I want to set and put all that stuff aside. I am going to take my craft white ink, and I'm going to take my sponge dauber for my white, and I'm just going to come in here and gently rotate that on my ink pad, and I'm going to come in and just edge the leaves and the flowers. Just on the edge. I'm not looking to get into the middle. I don't want to get into the middle. I want it right on the edges. For all of these. And you'll notice I'm not having to re-ink my sponge dauber because it's very little ink that's going on these, especially since it's right on the edges. So there's plenty of ink on the sponge dauber. So when I do the flowers, I'm going to just come into these like where it comes in, and I'm just going to just do that. So I'm only catching the tip of the flower petal just by default. That's the easiest way to do those ones. And you'll note still same thing. I still have all of that. I'm not using a lot of ink there. And see, that's what, oh, where am I at here? Where's the camera? Can you see that? Not very well, I guess. Okay. And then we'll just come in here. We got a couple of the small flowers. 3 more flowers to do. We're almost there. And I don't know, like, what do you think about the Blackberry Bliss with the vanilla cardstock? I really like that combination. I think it's really pretty. It's a very classic look, very elegant. But I think that with the Blackberry Bliss anyway. And the Blackberry Bliss is actually very close to the color of my car, so it's probably why I like it. Okay, close this up. I'm getting ink all over myself. Wipe it on my pants because that's what we do. All right. Now what I'm going to do here is I want to give the flowers a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to come in with, and you can do it with anything you want. I'm just going to use just the tip of my take your pick tool, the putty end, leaving the cap on, putting it in my hand, and I'm just going to go in the center and just twirl just a little bit, and it gives that little, it pops up just a little bit, and you can't really see that. But I'm just going to do that with all of these. It's actually cool. I know you can't see it on camera, but in person, that white ink on this Blackberry Bliss almost gives it, it's almost like a really beautiful blue violet look on the tips of those flowers. It's cool. Now, if you have a foam pad, you can, use a scoring stylus and in your foam pad. I just find my hands just easiest, and I don't have to pick up and put it away after. It's the quickest craft supply I have. Okay, so there's that. And then we're going to start putting this thing together. And we're going to be using some Stampin' Dimensionals and some multi-purpose glue. So I'm just going to set all of those aside, bring our card base back in. All right, and I'm going to give my card base a fold and a burnish with my bone folder. And we're going to just add this layer. And you can decide which way you want to go. I mean, it really depends on you, which direction you want that to go in. So I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue for this. And I'm going to be quite liberal with this glue because there's a lot of raised area that it needs to stick to. When I put this on my card base, however, I am not going to press. So I am just holding it in line, and I'm just eyeballing the top and both sides to make sure it's even. And as long as I did my cutting and measuring correctly, my bottom will be even also. So I'm just going to hold that just for a hot minute so that I can make sure that that gets adhered. It takes just a minute for that multi-purpose glue to set. We'll do that. Okay. Now trying to decide where I want all of the elements. So the first thing is I want to decide where I want this sentiment tag, because I'm going to design the placement of the flowers and leaves around it. So put that there. I'm going to put this one up here, this flower here, and then we'll tuck this little guy up in here. Well, he can go a little separate, I guess. There. And then we're going to be tucking in some leaves. Now, when I do the leaves, I do like to put, excuse me, two of the leaves together. And you do have to be like, so right now, I need to maybe bring this down a little bit because my leaves are going to overhang the card and I don't want to do that. So I'll bring that down. And I want to see those leaves because they are beautiful. So I'll just turn my flower maybe a little bit. There, come in there. Excuse me again. All right. So I'm going to put this leaf is going to go in here, I think. Or maybe, yeah, up in here, I think. And then this one can come down here. And this one can actually overhang our sentiment tag and kind of bring that sentiment into the picture. So I think we'll put this guy up here and actually put one of the plumeria in there. And just kind of place these flowers around. You can group a couple of them together like this. So I think I like the way that that looks. Yeah. All right, so we're going to take these little ones off. Now I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of these flowers. And I'm going to do the big one first. I thought I had a pack of dimensionals out, but apparently, oh, this is the one I was using. I put it back. All right, so I'm just going to put a couple up here. And then this guy, let's put a couple on him. One on this little girl. Right there. All right. I'm also going to get my glue dots. And we are going to, these two leaves that I want together up here, I'm actually going to glue dot them. I'm going to glue them together with a glue dot because I want them to be held together. So I'm just putting a glue dot right on the back of this guy and just coming up here and putting them together just like that. And I'm going to place those kind of where I want them. Put that up there. Have that dimensional will pick up those leaves. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one down there, like so. All right, now I didn't put a dimensional on here because I might want to tuck some stuff up under there. I wasn't sure. Or this one, when this one comes in and comes over this one, I could actually put a dimensional on there so it pops up from that flower, which I think is what I'm going to do. Okay, well, let's just pull the dimensionals off that one. Bring that one up there. We'll put that dimensional right on that flower. And then we're not stacking dimensionals. They're you know, it's not 2 dimensionals high because we're not overlapping where the dimensionals are located. All right. And then this little guy, we said we're going to put up here, kind of out of the way. All right. Now with the plumeria, I do like putting the plumeria on with glue dots. I don't like using the multi-purpose glue because it takes too long for it to set. So we're just going to take my glue dots. I like to take your pick tool, take the glue dot and just kind of roll it up a little bit, make it a little bit of a glue ball, and then pop it into place. And I'm just going to press it down with that other end of my take your pick tool. That helps to really put some pressure on that without flattening the flower. And this one I'm going to put over here. Another one. What do you guys think of this card so far? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Put this one down here. One more big one, and then we're going to fill in with some little flowers. So that one we can go right there. And I think we're going to make a group. One little group of plumeria down in this corner. So I'm going to put that little one right in between those two big ones. Oops. Right between those two big ones. Press that down. One more flower. And then this one's going to go up here. Like that. Okay. Now I want to put these two leaves, these leftover leaves. So I'm going to do that by putting a glue dot. And I'm going to put it right here at the base of the leaf. And I'm going to just pull that stem off because I'm going to tuck that in. Oops. And I'm going to adhere it with that glue dot to the flower it's tucked underneath. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Pull that right off, that stem. Pick up the glue dot. And I'm not rolling these glue dots into balls. I'm just leaving them like that. And then this one we said was going to come in here and overhang. So I'm just going to press where that glue dot is. And then I think for our sentiment tag, let's put that up on dimensionals because why not? Why not? Give everything a little dimension. So we're just going to kind of tuck that one up under there, but not so that it covers the words. Make sure it's straight. Do that. Very nice. And then we're going to come in with our pearls. Love pearls. So I'm just going to come in with my take your pick tool, the putty end. I do like using that for these. I'm going to take pearls, the bigger pearls, and pop them into the bigger flowers. So we had 4 of those. Now normally you would do odd amounts, and then I'm just going to take the small ones and pop them into those 2 little small flowers and give those flowers all centers. So normally you would do an odd amount, but because I have specific like elements that I want pearls in, I'm going to have an even amount. So there is our card. Beautiful. Bring that inspiration card back in so you can see that one. And there you have it. So let me just flip the camera back to me so I can say goodbye. So I am so glad that you all joined me. I'm glad that you are watching this video. I thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. And I hope to have more videos like this in the future. Have a good day.